Duck is a great Western engine who is one of the most popular faces in the Fat Controller's main fleet of engines. His real name is Montague, but his friends called him Duck because of a slight waddle he makes as he puffs along. He shares his own branch line that runs by the coast with Oliver, another great Western engine, along with Donald and Douglas, the Scottish twins. Every engine in person knows who Duck is, of course, especially because he is recognized in books, audio, and even on television. But as a few years went by, things became different, and it begun to test Duck's familiarity. As he pulled into one of the stations one day, a family was waiting on the opposite platform for their train, having just come back from the beach. Along with them was a little girl.
Look, Mommy! Look, Daddy! Here's Percy!
Beg pardon, little fella, but did you just call me Percy?
Are you Henry or Emily then? They're the other green engines.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but my name's Duck, actually. I'm neither of those three. And besides, my number's on my cab side.
Oh, sorry, Duck, but I don't recall seeing you on the telly.
What are you talking about? Of course I've been seen on the screen before and... Oh, right. Sorry, my mistake. You don't have to apologize.
Was it something I said?
Oh, that blasted new corporation company. I would have guessed. Oliver was chatting with Bert whilst waiting to collect ballast when Duck stormed in and looking cross. Oh dear, Duck. What seems to be clouding your smoke box? Bert's right. Anyone would think you have taken the wrong sort of coal. No, I am not, thank you. And besides, how would you feel if someone isn't familiar with you, eh? Okay, there's no need to be snappy. We're only asking. I'm sorry, guys. It's just, well, you know about that new executive company that has recently bought the rights to our television series? Yeah, so? So, ever since I wasn't included in the latest series last year, and with all the heavy focus on a majority of the so-called STEAM team thing by these new executives, every child keeps mistaking me for Percy, Henry, or Emily as if they have never heard or even seen me before. I tell you, things were so much easier when Miss Alcroft and Mr. Minton were around. Well, apart from that magical railway movie scenario that doesn't make any logical, real sense, but that's besides the point! Alright, calm down, Duck. We know how you feel, but there's no reason to get all riled up about it. So what if a child has never heard about you? They might not even know who we are. And besides, you're not the only one who's been left out. I often had some people walk up to me and mistook me for either Percy or Thomas because we're either the same color or size, but I never complain about it. I don't know about those telly people myself, but Oliver's got a fair point. Funny you should mention it though, given that our railway never appeared on TV just yet. Sometimes a lot of young children all confuse me, Mike, and Rex for Gordon, James, and Henry because we all look lifelike and painted in the same liveries. Can't really blame him.
I still say it's unfair that we didn't appear in those episodes. I mean, those kids always think I'm James when I'm really not. Why can't they just look at our nameplates, or better yet, read the books more often? Then they'll all know.
Well, the world is changing in difference compared to what it is now, Mike. As much as I would have liked for them to read the Thin Clergyman's books, we can't expect them to be too familiar with them at a certain age. In the meantime, we'll still have to put up with it until the day we finally get shown on the small screen.
I'll only believe it when I see it then. Huh.
Anyway, you see what we're trying to say, Duck? Well, I get it. Perhaps you two are right. You know, my driver told me there's going to be a 9th season this year, so maybe I might make a small cameo appearance in one of these newer episodes. After all, you just never know when things happen. Secretly, though, Duck still wasn't too sure. And unfortunately, little did he know was that his hopes would soon be dashed again. A few months went by, and the weather was soon changing from a hot summer to a crisp, cool autumn. One afternoon, Thomas had just pulled into the station and saw lots of visitors. A group of children and their families were excited to see him.
Hey! Look, Mom, there's Thomas, the #1 engine!
Hello, Thomas. We remember you from last year. Yeah, I even saw you and your friends on the latest show.
Oh, why thank you. It's nice to see a few familiar faces again. Even most people who've seen me and the other engines before.
Just then, Duck pulled in. He saw the families calling and waving excitedly to Thomas.
Hey, look, it's Percy. But why is he all stretched out? Isn't he supposed to be round?
Duck couldn't believe his ears. Another child also didn't recognize who he is either. Driver, I'm going to ask this one question only, but did you watch the latest season of our show? Yes, Duck, I have seen it with my children and... Well, what? I don't know how to break it to you, but... You also didn't appear in it like last season. What? Not even a cameo? I've checked nearly all the newer episodes, and not a single appearance out of you at all. 0%. Duck was both speechless and angry. He thought his not appearing spell would be over, but now it seemed like everyone had completely forgotten about him. Before his driver could check him, he began to roll forwards, wheezing steam and not looking where he was going. Right, that's it. Next time that new television crew comes here, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. Oi, watch out! Duck snapped out of his thoughts, only to realize too late that he was heading straight into a coal siding where Percy had his accident before. Oh, horrors! Help! Oh. As the dust settled, there was Duck, derailed and now wheel-deep in coal. Everyone from the platform watched on in shock. Words cannot describe how careless you are, Duck. The Fat Controller is not going to like this. Duck gulped. He knew now he really was in deep trouble. That evening, he was put back on the rails and was being cleaned up when the Fat Controller arrived. Duck, I am very disappointed with you. This isn't like you to just neglect a set of points that led you into a siding and end up in coal dust. I'm sorry, sir. I really am. I'm just... angry about something. About what? Duck told the Fat Controller everything. About the latest TV series, how he didn't appear in it, and how everyone didn't recognize him as his true self. I only wish there was someone who'd come to the island and be pleased to see me, sir. After all, I have always been popular with many children and their parents before, and now I'm concerned about this status quo about me going on forever. Oh, Duck, I understand your feelings, and I too have no idea what that new corporation company is up to myself, but I'm sure there might be a reason why you weren't included in the latest series. Although you have a right to be angry, this does not excuse the fact of you not appearing to go into your head and distract you from your work. Whether or not chance might have of you appearing in the show again remains unclear. With that being said, as punishment, you will shunt trucks with salty and porter at Brendam Docks until further notice. Maybe the fresh sea air will help clear your smoke box. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. But as the Fat Controller drove away, he couldn't help feeling sorry for Duck. Oh, the poor engine. We must do something to cheer him up. Later, he was sitting in his house waiting for supper to be cooked. He was reading one of his favorite railway books titled The Great Railways of the World. As he turned to one of the pages, he noticed a dark green tender engine in one of the photographs. Of course, he and many other rail enthusiasts recognize him as the City of Truro, the famous GWR engine who is thought to have reached 100 miles an hour first and had once visited Sodor with the Railway Society to see the engines all those years ago. And then he remembered Duck's dilemma. I think he'll be so thrilled to see his old friend again. But first, I need to make an important telephone call with the National Railway Museum. As indeed he did. Arrangements took time, until one day the island of Sodor was greeted with surprise as a visiting steam engine raced across the Vickerstown Bridge. It whistled a friendly greeting to every passing engine and disappeared into the distance. A crowd of people were also waiting along the line sides to see the engine and take pictures. They cheered and waved as it sped by without stopping. At Elsbridge, the Fat Controller stood on the platform. He checked his watch. Shouldn't be too long until he arrives. Aha! Here he is now, and right on time. Greetings, and welcome back to Sodor. I trust your journey went plain smooth without mishap?
Not at all, sir. All ship-shape and Swindon fashion with no trouble at all. It feels great to be back on your railway again since my last visit.
Excellent. I'm so glad to hear it. Now, you wait here while I go make a quick call to let someone else know you're here.
Oh, yes, sir. I can't wait to see him again. It will be just like old times.
Meanwhile, at Brendam Docks, Duck was shunting trucks about on the quay. Although he enjoyed being by the sea and looking out at the horizon, but not even that could help lift up his spirits. And where were you? You were supposed to shunt these trucks here half an hour ago! Sorry, Cranky. I'm just not feeling my usual self today. Ha! Well, you seem jolly today. By the look on that face, you look as if you're about to join a moping club. Guess you could say that. Just then, the dock manager arrived.
Leave these trucks, please, Duck. The Fat Controller wants you to go to Elsbridge Station. He said he has a special surprise waiting for you.
A surprise? For me? What is it? Looks like we're about to find out, boy. Let's go! So Duck hurried along the line towards Elsbridge, wondering what the surprise could be. When he reached the station a few minutes later, he could hardly believe his eyes. There, waiting at the platform, was a familiar dark green tender engine he had once seen before. Bust my buffers! Is that... could it really be?
Oh, hello, old friend. It's great to see you again.
Truro! I don't believe it! It really is you! I'm so happy to see you again too! But what brings you back here?
Well, your controller telephoned the manager of the NRM to arrange for me to come and pay you a visit. He says you're in need of cheering up after some troubling events you're facing with. Care to explain what happened?
Yes, indeed. You see, last year there was a new corporation company that has recently bought the rights to our television series, and in the latest seasons that they were in charge of, for some strange reason they have left me and a few others out of the newest episodes, not even making one single cameo appearance out of all of them. Because of that, most children, whenever they come to Sodor, keep mistaking me for Percy, Henry, or Emily. Some even claiming that I wasn't even in the show despite me being a part of it before like I always have been. I was so upset and cross about it that it led me to having an accident a few weeks ago before you came. Like, I know they're just kids and I don't blame them for not knowing any of us, but it makes me feel like my legacy is being ignored entirely.
Oh my duck, I am sorry to hear how you're going through with all this. But it's not the end of the world, you know, and I don't think your legacy is left unnoticed. Tell me, who was the one that managed to prevent a runaway goods train from causing an accident and hurting people?
I did.
And who managed to pull a heavy express train twice with 3 other tank engines when there was no one else around to pull it?
I did.
And who was it who helped an injured sailor to the hospital during a regatta?
I did.
Exactly. Whether you appear on television or not, your legacy is still going strong and will never be forgotten. And there's an older generation who will always remember you by your name, your past adventures, and everything you did that makes you a true valuable asset to this railway. And I'm sure that in a few years to come, so would the new generation who might get a chance to see you in the original series, as well as the books you and your friends starred in. Though we shouldn't expect them to be too familiar with them just now. Plus, you have a bunch of amazing friends that care and know about you, and a controller who's extremely lucky to make you his number 8 engine that does things the Great Western way.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Thank you, Truro. It really cheered me up. You know, I don't envy Thomas or anyone else anymore. After all, I have someone special who has come to the island and is pleased to see me after all.
That's the spirit, Duck, and I'm sure we'll keep it that way while I'm here.
City of Truro stayed on the island for a few days, and he and Doug had a wonderful time talking and laughing of all things Great Western like old friends do. However, his stay couldn't last forever, and Doug was a little sad when he had to leave for home. I really am gonna miss you, Truro. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to see me again.
Don't mention it, old buddy. I'm sure we might do it again soon. After all, as they say, you never know where the road might lead us, wherever we are.
As City of Truro departed for the mainland, Doug watched him on. Although he may have been left out of the TV series, he is still lucky enough to know that there are those who still remembered him for what he is, including the engines and people of Sodor, and an old friend of his that made him proud and happy to be a GWR engine too.